Stop taking things personally. Hi, I'm Teacher Luke, and welcome to this story on how to stop taking things personally. Chapter 1: Why we take things personally. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone said something that hurt your feelings, even though maybe they didn't mean to? Was it a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger? Write your answer in the comments before we continue. I want you to think of a real example from your own life, because it will help you connect with this chapter. We all know the experience. A small comment, a funny look, or even silence can make us feel upset, rejected, or not good enough. Sometimes it happens at work. Your boss gives feedback, and instead of hearing, "This project needs improvement," you hear, "You are a failure." Sometimes it happens in friendships or family life. A loved one doesn't answer your message quickly, and suddenly you start thinking, "They don't care about me anymore." Why do we do this? Why do we take things so personally, so deeply, and often so painfully? In this chapter, we are going to explore the reasons behind this very human habit. We will see how our brains, our emotions, and our past experiences all play a role. I will also share a story from my own life, a time when I took something far too personally, and what I learned from it. By the end of this chapter, you will understand yourself a little better, and you will see that you are not alone in this struggle. First, let's start with something basic. Human beings are social animals. We are built to live in groups, to connect, and to be accepted by others. Thousands of years ago, if you were rejected by your tribe, it was dangerous. Being excluded could mean losing protection, food, and safety. That's why our brains are still sensitive to rejection, even in the modern world. When someone frowns at us or criticizes us, our brain reacts as if it is facing a threat. Scientists have even shown that social rejection activates the same areas in the brain as physical pain. That means being ignored or criticized can literally hurt, just like cutting your finger. So when we take things personally, we are not being weak. We are simply being human. Our minds are trying to protect us, even though sometimes the reaction is too strong for the situation. Another big reason we take things personally is connected to our ego, the picture we hold of ourselves. All of us carry around an invisible mirror. In that mirror, we see our identity, who we think we are, what we are proud of, and what we hope others notice about us. Imagine you believe you are a kind and helpful person. Now imagine someone says, "You never help anyone." Even if they said it quickly or without much thought, those words crash into your ego. They attack the identity you want to protect. This is why criticism feels heavier when it touches something close to our heart. A comment about the color of your shirt may not hurt, but a comment about your intelligence, your looks, or your abilities can feel like an attack on your very self. Our past also plays a huge role in how personally we take things. Think about childhood. Maybe you had parents, teachers, or classmates who criticized you often. Maybe you were bullied, or maybe you were always compared to someone else. Those experiences leave marks inside us, like invisible bruises. Later, when someone says something similar, even if it is small, those old wounds open again. You are not just reacting to the present comment, you are also reacting to years of past pain. This is why two people can hear the same words, but one feels fine and the other feels deeply hurt. It's not only about what is said today, it is also about the story your past has written inside you. There's another reason we take things personally, and this one is very important: the story we tell ourselves. When something happens, our brain immediately tries to make sense of it. But our brain doesn't always tell the truth. Instead, it creates a story based on fear, insecurity, or assumption. For example, if a friend cancels dinner, the fact is simple: the dinner is cancelled. But the story in your head might be, They don't like me anymore. They found better friends. I am boring. Suddenly, a neutral fact becomes a painful story and you suffer. This habit of creating stories is automatic. We do it without thinking. And most of the time, the story we create is more negative than reality. Let me share a story from my own life. I remember one time, early in my career as a teacher, I was very excited about a lesson I had prepared. I thought it was creative, fun, and would help my students learn in a new way. After the class, most students looked happy, but one student stayed quiet. Later, I overheard her telling another student, "That was a bit confusing." Those 4 words hit me like a punch in the stomach. That was a bit confusing. Immediately, my brain began to spin. Oh no, she hated the lesson. Maybe all the students hated it. Maybe I'm a terrible teacher. Maybe I'm not cut out for this job. For the rest of the day, I couldn't stop thinking about that one comment. I ignored all the positive reactions and focused only on the negative one. But here's the truth. Later I spoke to her and she explained. She said, I was tired today and I didn't understand one small part, but the rest of the class was good. Suddenly I realized I had built a mountain out of a small stone. I had taken it far too personally. This experience taught me 2 things. First, people's words are often about their own state, not about me. And second, my own reaction is what causes the real suffering, not the comment itself. You might be thinking, okay, I understand why we take things personally. But why does it matter? It matters because when we take things too personally, it steals our peace. We spend hours, sometimes days, replaying small comments in our minds. We get angry, sad, or anxious about things that were never meant to hurt us. We damage relationships by reacting strongly or by withdrawing when we feel attacked. Even worse, when we take things personally, we stop ourselves from growing. Imagine a colleague gives you useful feedback, but instead of hearing the advice, you hear an insult. You miss the chance to improve because your ego is too busy defending itself. Let me share a few signs, and you can see if any of them sound familiar. You replay conversations in your head, trying to analyze every word someone said. You feel hurt or angry when someone doesn't reply quickly to your messages. You often assume people are criticizing you, even when they might not be. You avoid situations where you might be judged because you don't want to feel rejected. You feel attacked when someone gives you feedback, even if it is constructive. If you recognize yourself in some of these signs, don't worry. Most of us do the same. This book is here to help you slowly let go of this heavy habit. The good news is this: taking things personally is not something you are born with forever. It is a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. The first step is understanding why it happens, and that is exactly what you have learned in this chapter. You now know that we take things personally because of our human need for belonging, our ego, our past experiences, and the stories we create in our heads. With this knowledge, you are already one step closer to freedom. In the next chapter, we will go deeper. We will learn how to remind ourselves in the moment that most things are not really about us. This change in perspective can save us from hours of unnecessary pain. Before we finish, let me leave you with a reflection. Think of one recent moment when you took something personally. Maybe it was a comment, a look, or a message. Ask yourself, was I reacting to the situation itself or to a story in my head? Was it really about me, or was it about the other person's mood, stress, or life? Write your answer in the comments. Sharing your experience might help someone else feel less alone. That's the end of chapter 1. In the next part, we will look at how to remind ourselves that it's not about you, and how that simple truth can change the way we see the world. Chapter 2. Recognizing that it's not about you. Let me ask you a question. When someone criticizes you, do you usually think this is about them, or do you immediately think this is about me? Be honest, write your answer in the comments before we continue. In the previous chapter, we explored why we take things personally, our human need for belonging, our ego, our past experiences, and the stories we create in our heads. Now it's time to move to the next step, learning how to see that most things are not really about us. This idea may sound simple, but it can be life-changing. Imagine how different your life would be if you could hear criticism, rejection, or even anger, and not carry it as a personal wound. Imagine if you could let go of the belief that everyone's behavior is secretly a judgment on you. This chapter is about recognizing that when people act in certain ways, it usually has much more to do with them than it does with you. Every person lives inside their own world, their thoughts, their feelings, their worries, and their history. When they speak or act, they are expressing that world. Think about it like this. If someone shouts at you in traffic, what is really happening? Are they shouting because you are a terrible person? Or are they shouting because they are late for work, stressed about money, or simply having a bad day? Most of the time, it's not about you. It's about the pressure they are carrying. When we realize this, we can stop interpreting every word or action as a personal attack. We begin to see people as mirrors of their own lives, not judges of ours. Let me share a simple story. One morning, I went to a coffee shop. The barista looked tired and didn't smile. When I asked for my coffee, she gave a short reply and made the drink without much eye contact. Now I had two choices. The first was to take it personally. Why is she being so unfriendly to me? Did I say something wrong? Maybe she doesn't like me. The second choice was to realize this is not about me. Maybe she didn't sleep well. Maybe she had an argument at home. Maybe she is just tired. When I chose the second interpretation, I didn't feel hurt. I felt compassion. In fact, I even said, "I hope your day gets better." She looked surprised, then smiled a little. This is the power of remembering that people's behavior comes from their own world, not from you. So why do we often make the mistake of thinking everything is about us? It's because our brains are naturally self-centered. I don't mean selfish in a negative way. I mean that our minds are always looking at the world from our own point of view. If you walk into a room, you think people are noticing you. If two people laugh, you think maybe they are laughing at you. If someone is quiet, you wonder if they are upset with you. But here's the truth. Most people are not thinking about you at all. They are too busy thinking about themselves. Just like you are the center of your world, they are the center of theirs. Realizing this can feel like freedom. It means you don't have to carry the heavy burden of other people's moods and opinions. Let's talk about criticism. When someone criticizes you, of course it hurts, but very often their words reveal more about them than about you. For example, imagine you share a creative project online, maybe a photo, a video, or a piece of writing. One person says, "This is terrible." At first, you feel crushed, but then you stop and think, why would someone write that? Maybe they are frustrated with their own work. Maybe they feel insecure, and criticizing others gives them a moment of power. Maybe they are simply having a bad day and needed a place to release their negativity. This doesn't mean all criticism is useless. Sometimes feedback is valuable and can help us improve. But the emotional tone of the criticism, the anger, the sarcasm, the harshness, that usually belongs to the critic, not to you. Let me tell you about a time when I had to remind myself of this truth. Many years ago, I was giving a public talk. I had prepared carefully, and I was excited to share my ideas. Most of the audience seemed engaged, but one man in the front row kept shaking his head. Every time I looked in his direction, he looked annoyed. Of course, my mind went wild. He hates my talk. Maybe I'm boring. Maybe I made a mistake. Everyone must think I'm failing. But after the event, the same man came to speak to me. Do you know what he said? He said, "Thank you for your talk. I really enjoyed it. I just get migraines, and when I have them, I can't stop frowning." I laughed with relief. All along, I had been taking his expression personally, when in fact, it had nothing to do with me. That experience taught me a valuable lesson. Don't assume that other people's reactions are about you. They usually aren't. Here's a simple exercise you can try. Next time someone's words or actions upset you, pause for a moment. Instead of asking, "What does this say about me?" ask, "What might this say about them?" For example, a colleague is short-tempered. Maybe they are under pressure. A friend doesn't reply to your message. Maybe they are busy or struggling. A stranger looks unfriendly. Maybe they are tired or worried about something. This shift of perspective doesn't mean you accept bad behavior. It simply means you don't carry it on your shoulders as a personal wound. You see it for what it is, a reflection of the other person's life. Another important point is this: not everything deserves your energy. When you take things personally, you are giving away your peace. You are letting someone else's mood decide your mood. But the truth is, you don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. You don't have to catch every negative word thrown in your direction. Imagine someone hands you a burning coal. If you don't take it, who gets burned? Not you. But if you grab it and hold it close, you suffer. The same is true with words and actions. If you don't take them personally, they lose their power. Let's make this concrete. Here are a few tips you can practice in daily life. Pause before reacting. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this really about me or about them? Consider other explanations. Instead of assuming the worst, think of at least 2 other reasons for their behavior. Remember, people are busy with their own lives. Most people are not judging you as much as you imagine. Choose compassion. If someone is rude, think, they must be having a hard day. This mindset protects your peace. Don't give away your power. Decide whose opinions truly matter and let go of the rest. When you learn to recognize that it's not about you, life becomes lighter. You stop wasting energy on other people's moods. You stop carrying invisible weights on your shoulders. Most importantly, you open the door to healthier relationships. You listen more calmly, you respond more wisely, and you protect your inner peace. Before we end this chapter, I want you to reflect. Think of one recent time when you felt hurt by someone's words or actions. Ask yourself, what if this was not about me at all? What might it reveal about the other person's world? Write your thoughts in the comments. Sharing them may help you, and it may also help someone else who is listening. That's the end of chapter 2. In the next chapter, we will learn practical ways to build inner strength and resilience, so that even when life gets tough, you stay steady and confident. Chapter 3. Building inner strength and resilience. Let me begin with a simple question. When life gets difficult, do you feel strong on the inside, or do you feel easily shaken by other people's words and actions? Think about it for a moment and write your answer in the comments. In the first chapter, we learned why we take things personally. In the second, we saw that most of the time, people's words and actions are not really about us. Now, in this final chapter, we are going to focus on building something very important: inner strength and resilience. Because here's the truth: the world will never stop giving us challenges. People will still criticize. They will still misunderstand us. They will still have bad moods. We cannot control that. But what we can control is how strong and steady we are on the inside. Resilience means the ability to recover quickly from difficulties. It means you don't break when someone pushes against you. Instead, you bend, you adapt, and you keep moving forward. So let's look at how to build this kind of strength. The first key to resilience is learning to set emotional boundaries. Think of boundaries like invisible fences that protect your peace. When you don't have boundaries, other people's emotions can flood into you. Their anger becomes your anger. Their stress becomes your stress. Their criticism becomes your self-image. But when you have strong boundaries, you can say, "That belongs to them, not to me." You stop carrying other people's emotional baggage. For example, imagine a friend shouts at you because they are stressed. Without boundaries, you think, "I did something wrong. I am a bad friend." With boundaries, you think, "They are upset. That's their storm, not mine." You can still listen, you can still care, but you don't let their storm destroy your inner calm. Another way to build resilience is by changing your self-talk, the voice inside your head. Think about it. When someone criticizes you, what does your inner voice say? Does it say, "They must be right, I'm useless"? Or does it say, "That's their opinion, I know my value"? The words we tell ourselves are powerful. If your inner voice is always attacking you, of course you will take things personally. But if your inner voice is kind and supportive, then other people's words will not cut so deep. One technique is to treat yourself like a friend. If your best friend made a mistake, would you say, "You're hopeless"? Number. You would say, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes. You can try again." Start speaking to yourself with the same compassion. Resilience also grows when we practice mindfulness, the ability to stay present and calm in the moment. Often, when we take things personally, it happens instantly. Someone says something, and before we even think, we feel hurt or angry. But mindfulness gives us a pause, a little space between the event and our reaction. You can practice this in daily life. Next time you feel that flash of hurt, take one slow breath. Notice your feelings without judging them. Then ask, "Do I really need to take this personally, or can I let it go?" This pause may only last a few seconds, but it can save you hours of unnecessary pain. Resilience also comes from confidence, and confidence grows through action. The more you try, fail, learn, and try again, the stronger you become. Think of a surfer learning to ride waves. At first, every fall feels embarrassing, but over time, the surfer learns to fall and get back up quickly. The waves no longer feel like enemies. They feel like teachers. Life is the same. When you practice facing challenges, criticism, and even failure, you realize that you can survive them. Each time you get back up, your inner strength grows. So don't avoid situations because you fear judgment. Step into them. Every experience is a chance to build resilience. Let me share another story from my own life. There was a time when I received a very harsh email from a listener of my podcast. They wrote, "Your lessons are boring. You should quit." When I first read it, my stomach dropped. My old habit was to take it personally. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough. But then I paused. I remembered my boundaries. I asked myself, does this email reflect the truth about me? Or does it reflect something about them? I thought about all the other positive messages I had received from listeners. I remembered the joy I felt when teaching. And I realized this email was not about me. It was one person's frustration sent in a moment of negativity. Instead of quitting, I kept going. And I am glad I did, because thousands of people later told me how much they enjoyed and learned from my lessons. That experience showed me that resilience is not about never feeling hurt. It's about not letting hurt stop you from living your purpose. Let's get practical now. Here are some daily practices that can help you build resilience. Gratitude journaling. Each evening, write down 3 things you are thankful for. Gratitude shifts your focus away from negativity and builds inner peace. Positive self-affirmations. Start the day by saying something kind to yourself like, I am enough. I can handle challenges. I choose peace. Healthy lifestyle. Sleep well, eat well, move your body. A strong body supports a strong mind. Limit negative inputs. If certain social media or news always leaves you feeling bad, reduce your exposure. Protect your mental space. Connect with supportive people. Surround yourself with friends who lift you up, not those who pull you down. These small practices, repeated daily, create a foundation of resilience. Here's one more idea. Resilience is not just about surviving negativity, it's about transforming it into growth. When someone criticizes you, instead of asking, why me, you can ask, what can I learn from this? Sometimes the lesson is practical, like improving a skill. Other times, the lesson is emotional, like learning patience or compassion. In this way, even negative experiences become part of your personal training program. Life becomes your teacher, and every challenge becomes a chance to grow stronger. When you build inner strength, you begin to feel free. Free from the prison of other people's opinions, free from the weight of every comment or look, free to be yourself, even when others don't understand or approve. This freedom doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you can love and connect with them more fully because you are no longer controlled by fear of judgment. You listen with openness. You speak with confidence. You live with peace. Before we finish this book, I want you to pause and reflect. Think about one area of your life where you often take things personally. Maybe it's at work, in your family, or in friendships. Now ask yourself, what boundary could I set to protect my peace? What new self-talk could I practice to build strength? What daily habit could I add to grow my resilience? Write your answers in the comments. Sharing them may inspire someone else to make the same change.